What's up, fellow lords of gaming, and welcome back to the channel. So today we're jumping in with a video on One Punch Man. I normally when I was playing Marvel Future Fight, I did the good, the bad, and the ugly series, and those were received pretty well. And I want to do that for this game, but there's so much to talk about, to break down, that I want to separate these, and I want to talk about the. I want to start with the ugly of the game first. Specifically, I'm addressing the situation now. I've reached level 60 on the team player list, so my team level is now at level 60. So I've played through a lot of the content and played through a lot of the modes, and I feel like I'm in a pretty good position in order to give you guys a perspective on the game. I have a majority of the heroes with the exception of Saitama and Speedasonic. I think that's his name, Speedasonic. So I want to give you guys a perspective, and to be honest with you, so that way we get this out the way, my perspective on this is not completely free to play. From a free to play perspective, I have spent money on the game, for which I am promising you I am not doing that any further, specifically because of actions that were done today. So let's address those real quick. So number one, I thought that the biggest action that kind of went for the game was its pay to win gotcha kind of mechanics. If we start out with just what was done, there was a lot of ways to monetize and basically do the traditional gotcha grab, but it was done in an offhanded sort of way that was like deliberately like shiesty, basically. I mean, I don't know any other way to describe it other than to talk about how shiesty it is. We had a battle pass system inside the game, and the battle pass wasn't necessarily so bad. Essentially, when we looked at the game here, but like all battle passes, we had to do an upgrade basically to get to that deluxe. But hey, it got a little bit shiesty inside of the battle pass, because not only did you have one way to unlock the battle pass, but you had two ways. Now, Marvel Future Fight has something similar where you have to go up in scales for the battle passes, but I thought that the way that this was handled by Perfect World Games here was especially shiesty, because the rewards that you basically get for upping to the next level really aren't there. Basically, you get 15 allowance levels and then this exclusive name card for it. So depending on how you look at this, this is where the game started to look a little ugly to me. Nevertheless, I was like, you know what? I'm bought into the experience. I'm enjoying some of the gameplay elements, but I'll jump in here and we'll see what we get. The token amounts that you were basically getting, the in-game currency, seemed like it had some good value on it, not to mention the energy was definitely going to be needed. At least that's what the outset was looking like. Now, so then we went down to like some of the draw packs that they had, and yes, I did purchase like some limited draw packs that were available, so that way you could get more additional heroes. Like I got Zombie Man because of the limited draw ticket pack, and then I had the Super Starter pack that I also purchased as well, which basically got me some more draw tickets, some gold, because you needed that overall, right, to get inside there. You didn't need it, I purchased it because mini whale's gonna whale. And then I did make the purchase here for the Tornado Growth Acceleration pack, because acceleration on the growth was just not happening. I was having fun with the game. I did use some of those to make weekly energy pack tickets, and then we got down to what I want to get into, which is the World Shop Gold selection. So what you're going to immediately notice is that the currency for the game, the premium currency, is these World Gold coins, as opposed to the silver World Silver coins. So you can see here that basically, essentially, your dollar is weighted at basically 6 of these World Gold coins. So what do you do with these World Gold coins? The World Gold coins are basically used to make purchases on items to basically level up your heroes and basically, get ahead basically with some of these things. So you basically have to do conversion, right? We all know why the conversion is here, because of the gotcha mechanics and some of the laws around it. So I basically have my normal dollar currency to convert to gold currencies and convert to in-game currency, whatever, right? The problem is, essentially, when you look at the weighted value of your dollar to these gold coins, to the silver coins that are basically in game, it's just not there. So for instance, your $89, or let's just say $100, is equivalent to about 648 gold coins, which is also equal to about 6,480 silver coins. Well, this might look good and sound good in the first, but kind of like, what is 6,480 coins getting me? Now, essentially, you're weighting this against the draw value of the gacha system, right? So in this game, the draw value is essentially 26, I think it's 2,600 silver coins is basically needed for you to basically get to that next level. So that means this isn't getting you even 10 pulls, which is problematic with the gacha rates inside this game, which let's take a look at. So this is where it got really shiesty to me, okay? So essentially inside the game, you get these limited draws, which was in the first couple of days, they introduced readily. This was really quickly that they threw in Tiny Tornado, Terrible Tornado, Tatsumaki at us really quickly. So what did that mean essentially to get here? That means none of your, character people who were jumping into the game, pay to play, free to play players had enough time to basically save up any type of currency to basically try to make pulls on her. So you basically had to just it's mad dash to basically get to Tatsumaki. Now you can see here over on the limited draws, it basically tells you for every 10 draws, you're guaranteed an SR or higher quality item, which means that you're really guaranteed an SR type character or an SR type impression arm. And then you can see here, it says basically every 60 draws. So that is essentially 10, 6 multi pulls of 10. So every 60 draws, you're guaranteed an SSR or higher quality item. So SSR impression arms or, the SSR character. And so essentially the way this works is, with the limited draw, you basically draw against the character. That first 60, essentially, you basically then are able to get an SSR character, and then you have a 50% chance of getting that SSR character. And then if you don't get it on that first 60 draws, those first 6 multis, then you can go buy another 6 multis and you're guaranteed to get it on a second. Okay, so that's essentially where it was. Now you look at the gacha rates inside here, and they are far worse than just about any gacha game that I've ever played before, especially at 0.6% and 2.2% inside of here. So for instance, with Tatsumaki, I got lucky that I was able to pull her within my first 60 draws. The game does keep a draw record total for you, other than when the last basically once the SSR, triggers, then it doesn't keep that draw record. So you're basically keeping track for the first 60 pulls. So that way, where you're at. Here goes the problem with that, right? So what you're weighting the value of those dollars is against these multis that you're able to pull. So for the $99, you're not even getting, 10 multis. You're not even getting the 60 draws that you need. So you're not even getting the 6 multis that you need. At 2,600 per pull, because that's what we are here, is 2,600 of the silver coin per pull. That means that you're only really getting maybe 2.5 pulls. So you're basically gonna have to top up off after that. So basically every multi to get to a character at 60 is gonna essentially cost you somewhere between $200 and $300. And then when you look on the flip side of that and you say, well, not only do I need the character to be successful, but there's also some characters that I do need to have their impression arms to be successful. And you have to do the same exact thing for the characters there. So you kind of run into this rabbit hole really quickly where it's like, the gacha value of these characters starts to feel really weighted. And if you don't have the means to essentially earn silver currency, you're really operating behind the power curve as a free-to-play player. It only gets made worse when you start to view some of the things that they've done. Is essentially like, hey, now, Tatsumaki's sort of ending, but we're going to introduce limited time character draw for Saitama and for his impression arms, who's also, by the way, available in the regular draw system with his impression arms, but you seem to have absolutely no luck in getting him. I mean, I've made quite a few pulls and I have yet to see him. Now, I'm not necessarily beating my head up about it because, Saitama's not, or at least this version of Saitama is not necessarily a character I'm like, gotta have this character. But it does go to the point about free-to-play players trying to get them and then wondering about what's the system going on behind here. Because I can tell you right now, as many pulls as I have, and I have all of the characters that I've done so far in the game, I've yet to even sniff a Saitama other than when I paid the 290 crystals for Saitama. And then all of a sudden, Speed of Sonic Sound and Saitama were dropping within that 290 system limited draw that they had, like rampantly, not paired with any characters, because here goes the thing. I really did want to show this. I really did want to be able to show this, and I didn't record it because it was just not in my head to record it. But every time I drew, if I got Saitama, because you were guaranteed on the other one to get 2 SSRs for every 10. Well, guess what? Every single time that I drew Saitama or Speed of Sonic inside there, I never got an SSR, Saitama or Speed of Sonic with another character. It was always going to be Zombie Man and Hellish Blizzard, and that was it. And it was Saitama with some SSR or Speed of Sonic with some SSR. And at the end of the day, put it this way, the weighted value of basically having more characters than having the individual character, Speed of Sonic or Saitama, just didn't make sense to me. And I'm going to tell you, you had to use silver to continue the reroll for another 10. I did this like 20, 30 times. I'm not going to kid you guys and, even lie to you. So I used an additional probably like, 600 to 1,000 silver coins to basically re-roll this, because I was like, there's no way that I don't get Saitama and Zombie Man inside one roll. There's no way that I don't get Speed of Sonic and Zombie Man in one roll, because those were the effective rolls that I was looking at, is trying to get Saitama or Speed of Sonic with Zombie Man, who was one of the characters that I needed. I had already drawn into Metal Knight and I had got my Tatsumaki, so I was happy with where I was. But at no point would I get those characters, and at no point that when I drew against that like 50 run that I had on there, that I got Saitama and Speed of Sonic. And then to find out, here we are a day later when their event starts, that now we're going to introduce a limited draw for Saitama, a limited time character draw for Saitama and for his impression arms, which absolutely makes no sense. It tells you right away that you shouldn't even draw on this, because he's available to you in the free pool, unless they know that for some reason behind the scenes they've made that even a lesser draw for you to be able to get Saitama or Speed of Sonic Sound inside the system. Otherwise, what was the reason for introducing a new limited character draw for 13 days in here where we basically have it? It just doesn't make sense. Nevertheless, you can also purchase his SSR inside the Arms File Exchange inside the mall. Basically, you can get his SSR. You can see here for these that you get for basically splitting some of the arms inside the game. I think you get like a chance of getting these, and then you're like guaranteed to get these. I was kind of like saving them up basically for like, I still haven't gotten Genos's, not Genos, what's his god dang name? No, it's Genos, but it's the Cyborg of Justice one, for instance. Still haven't gotten that version of these, but you can see what I'm saying here. Essentially, there it goes. So this is the Genos Cyborg of Justice SR. I still don't have that one, but then I finally just pulled the trigger and went and got his SSR version anyways, because I had the SSR for Zombie Man, and I had the SSR for Genos, and I had the SSR for Metal Knight, and for what's her name, Hell Blizzard, and I didn't have it for Silverfang. So that's what it was, right? So essentially, we get scummy tactics like that basically play into the game. And then it just kind of gets worse, because as I was sitting here, I was like, well, I'm looking at ways in which I could generate more silver inside the game. Well, that becomes problematic when you start to look at the game and how they reward you for either the normal draw ticket, so you can pull across the free thing, especially if everything is going to become a limited draw where those characters are not going to be placed inside the free draw pool after a certain amount of time, because it's just a limited draw. I don't know that to be true at this point, but that's what my takeaway is from previously playing other, mobile gacha games like this. So I don't have that. But then you start to get to like level 50. The game kind of soft caps like probably around 45 to 50. And that's when you start to notice that the content really starts to wane. I mean, like, you're not getting content at all relatively fast. It becomes really, really slow. Like there are multiple levels in which you receive absolutely no content. And let's be honest, even when you start to hit like the level 55s and the, 60s and so forth like that, the content that starts to be offered inside of here mostly becomes these biography quests and collectibles that end relatively quickly and don't necessarily get you to that space where you're going to be basically at the next level. The stories actually will end probably right, like, so like if I had started to end the story that I just unlocked at level 60, which is just a continuation of the story that I previously had, where it's just like it's interrupted story. It's not like it's like we got through a full chapter. It's like an interruption of the story. I'm sitting at a place where that will only probably net me half a level inside of the game. And the levels just keep increasing in terms of their acceleration here. And then the silver coins start to seemingly decrease in their availability as well, outside of me being able to complete like achievements where, I'm only netting like 5 coins per achievement. 10 maybe at max. The numbers just look relatively low, so you need to be paying attention to a lot of your achievement windows to be able to see like what is it that I'm playing, what is it that I'm trying to get after, so that way I can earn more tokens, so that way I can earn more rolls or earn more cards basically to go through the game. It feels all the time like there is no value in the free-to-play system, and it's just always a gotcha thing for the pay-to-play players to basically like, I need that next hit so I can basically feel like I've accomplished something inside of here. And at this point, to be honest with you, like it's a fun game, I will say that much, and I'll hit that on another video when I talk about the good. It is a fun gameplay in terms of the battles, and it's a fun system in terms of how they address like your character roster and why you need to basically be trying to unlock some of these things. But at the same token, a lot of it just doesn't feel good. A lot of it really doesn't feel good. It feels shiesty. Like you start to feel like even as a player who's been paying to play, it still feels shiesty. And so if I've spent $200-300 on this game, I don't know how much I really spent to basically play, but if it feels this shiesty to me, then I can only imagine how shiesty it feels to free-to-play players. That's the bottom line truth of it, is that the game should not feel this off-putting to someone who's even playing to play the game versus someone who's basically free to play. I need the free to play community in order for the game to basically continue. There has to be some value to their investment. And at this point, I can't really say that for them, there is a value to the investment as a free to play player. And even as a person who has been playing to play, because I have purchased energy and stuff like this to get ahead, it doesn't feel value there either. So it's the game is quickly losing its luster and its shine and becoming more work and effort than it is to feel like enjoyment. And I feel like that's where they're missing out. They've thrown a number of surveys at us, which makes the game also feel like it's still in beta mode. Some of these things that they've basically, they should have figured out in the beginning, like, look, the 2,600 silver coins to basically pull a draw, that should be halved. I'll talk more about those type of things in depth as I do a review of each individual system in here. But overall, I have to say that the ugliness of the game is the gacha mechanics. It is dirty. It is underhanded. The lack of actual content within the story space feels really, really debilitating to the game for it to carry on. I at the very minimum expected that there to be enough inside the manga for them to basically continue on and provide you with gameplay within the first 100 levels. But no, it is like so sparse and sporadic to you that it doesn't feel of value. So I think, so that's where we're at. The ugliness of this game, it just starts to really shine through, and a lot of it starts to lose its luster really quickly when you start looking at some of the systems and realize exactly what it is that you're paying to do. I'm paying for very minimal things that, bring me very minimal successes, or I'm being asked to grind things that are bringing me very minimal grind successes. and it's undermining the core gameplay of the characters inside their stages where things are fun. And we'll talk about that in the next video when we start looking at the ugly of the game, and we'll see where we go from there. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Until next time, peace.